Good morning, everyone. Testing my speaker, my microphone. Okay, so I want to say congratulations to especially to the Fintech Nigeria Association. I'm always proud to associate with you. You know I'm one of you anyway. So I want to say thank you to everyone who has been making this a very useful conversation. We're here to talk about INERA, so I'll just go straight to the point. So we're talking about INERA as a new enabler of financial inclusion. I sat in the crowd there. I've been listening to very interesting topics, so we are likely to be just repeating those key points because there's nothing new that has not been said. But I wanted to say that in the architecture, in the foundational design of the CBDC, I'm happy to tell you that Fintech is actually a foundational requirement. I mean, innovation is part of the foundation of any CBDC, and INERA has been designed to enable that innovation. And on that note, I think we can start the conversation. I just want to mention that as a regulator, we're having this conversation today because we all believe that technology and innovation has presented our generation a new opportunity to redesign the monetary system, to go to a higher level of growth, and also to bring in new innovation. That's why we're having that conversation. Now, in building that future monetary system and payment system, the role of the regulator is very unique. And that role is actually to ensure that the foundation of this future monetary system that we're building is secure, is robust, is inclusive, and is formidable. Just to re-emphasize some of the things that have been said, Fintech has been building a lot of networks, but there's the risk of data concentration. For example, networks can resort into a kind of vicious cycle where some Fintech get bigger and prevent others from entering. But the regulator is there to ensure that there's positive competition and that there's interoperability in the system, and that we can build a system that is scalable and expandable. I think I'll stop on that note, and then Mujid can.
Yes.
Okay. Just before we throw to Mujid, a big opportunity. We've got the chief regulator. So if you have questions or you have comments, we're going to open it to the floor for questions and comments. So please note them so that when they speak, you take the questions, you take the comments, and then we wrap up. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mujib, please.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, again. It's interesting you talked about innovation and all these fantastic things. I just want to go back and talk about where this all came from. If you remember, the whole story is about cryptocurrencies and the rest of it. And I think Jeremy on the last panel also mentioned digital assets and digital currencies, right? It was just a matter of time. Technology keeps pushing us forward in terms of us as human beings, and that's just the fact of life in terms of change. What is happening is the redesign of payment systems around the world. It's not about Nigeria, it's what is happening in the world, right? And CBDCs were solving the problem that cryptocurrencies are kind of facing in terms of providing stable coins and the different currencies that are not actually regulated. Now, CBDCs, as we have it now, gives everybody the opportunity to create products and services that actually respond to humans, right? I had the opportunity to go do some financial inclusion research, right? And went to a town in Ekiti. Now, we take a lot of infrastructures for granted, right? There was no infrastructure. There was no bank. I think the nearest bank was about 60, 70 kilometers away, and cash was still being used, meaning that the security of that particular area was just not happening, because you just have robberies everywhere because everybody is moving around with cash, right? So all these things we talk about when we talk about digital currencies, they're real in a lot of parts. Now, what the e-naira is doing is bringing the opportunities to bring those guys closer, right, to being able to access these different services and products. We just find ourselves in a situation where I would say Nigeria is leading payment systems and fintech innovations around the world. And you could argue that a lot of the transactions are already digital in one form or the other. This is just the next step forward in terms of issuing liabilities directly on the central bank. Now, the e-naira allows these people that don't have banks, that don't have access to internet and all these sort of things, to be on board products that are designed specifically to cater to things around them. Now, when I was in this part of Ekiti, right, the major thing they do there is agriculture, is yams, really, right? These are farmers that have peculiar needs. For instance, the market just opens twice a week, for instance, right? Specific to exporting these farms, these yams, out of their town. Now, remember, there are no banks, which means that people have to worry about carrying cash around. And let's even leave that for a second, right? Creating products around that economy itself, right, is something that all of us need to, contribute to. Now, we take it for granted as well, those of us that live in highly urbanized areas, that, okay, there are banks, there's internet, I already have a bank account. These guys don't actually have a bank account. Not that they don't want a bank account, but why would I want to travel all the way 60, 70 kilometers away to get an account? Now, you could argue that there are solutions that are addressing this already, and you would be correct for some part of it, but the e-naira is the next step, is the evolution that is coming, and we just have to take value from it and then see where we go from there.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any question from anyone on the floor, anyone who is joining in physically? And do we have questions online as well? Please, if you have any questions, please indicate. Okay, I knew we were going to have enough questions. Okay, from the front, we've got 2 hands. Please, can you pass the microphone? Over there, we've got 2 hands or more. So please, I would appreciate if you would keep it very straight to the point, your name and your question as fast as possible, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm a part of the TTSWG, that's the Telecommunication and Technology Sustainability Working Group. And we basically are driving for sustainability within the different industries, telecoms and technology. And we're talking about financial inclusion. And sustainability has to do with the ESG, economic, environmental, social, and governance. And when we talk about financial inclusion and innovation, I'm also thinking about inclusion for the physically disabled. These people are also included when we talk about inclusion. And I don't really see how most of these innovations are responding to those needs for, say, the blind or the deaf, for instance. How does the e-naira respond to their needs, for instance? With physical cash, there are some monies that probably have Braille on them. And I don't see how, for instance, these touchscreen POSs that we have, I don't necessarily see Braille services or voice-enabled services on those things. So how does the innovation that comes from these financial services attend to other social, yes, include those other people.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you want to take a stab at that before we move on to the next question?
Yeah, thank you. It will be unfair to talk about financial inclusion without actually talking about those vulnerable groups. And I would say it goes back to all of us. I mean, considering the fact that INERA is designed to actually drive innovation, and this innovation layer we're talking about is actually to address some new areas that has not been addressed before. And I would say that in the last hackathon event that the central bank actually had, I mean, we were really excited to see there was a specific use case regarding the physically challenged. And we are presently driving some sessions with those innovators to ensure that we bring in those functionalities. And yes, the INERA has been designed for that modularity where innovators can actually seamlessly plug in, and then we can have all these wonderful improvements in financial inclusion. So let me stop there for now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please, I'd like us to indicate, because I find that I want to get a round of applause and a standing ovation by keeping to time. I don't want to be guilty of the rule that we set together. So I would like us to indicate if we have questions now. So we note people who have questions now so that questions don't trigger further questions later on. Please just raise your hand high, and then we'll just take numbers 1, 2, and 3. So we just have 3 questions. All right. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Babalola, Operator Observe once again. Okay, my question is, please, as per the regulation, is airtime prohibited from being a medium of exchange? That's my question. And the reason why I asked is, what my organization does, I'm from Platinum Business Solutions. So we have a mobile applications that allows you to transact with your airtime. Your airtime, it's a means of exchange. Like if you have airtime now, you can transfer it from one network to another, from MTN to Glo via our mobile application. You can convert your airtime to cash via our applications, and then you can use your airtime to pay bills. So basically on Tuesday, I was in a meeting with one of the top guys in InterSwitch. Actually, I was in a meeting with someone, so they had to call the lady, one of their top executive person, and he said airtime is prohibited from being a medium of exchange. So I really want to get clarification on that. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So, airtime is not money. I mean, to be very specific. So, in terms of what should be used as money, there are functions of money that, there are characteristics of money that should be met. And airtime as a closed network, a closed network asset that is being used within a closed network. What I mean by that is that of the economy. Now money have universal usage. So you cannot use such closed network assets as a replacement for money. You can use them for some wonderful futures, but not as a replacement for money. And there's a lot of things that makes money what it is. And I wish I will have the opportunity to tell you how those things are not inside the airtime. So really, it's not money. But that is not to say that it cannot be used in some way, but not as a replacement for money.
Okay.
So it doesn't have that universal cross. And legal tender, of course, is something we need to educate ourselves about. Legal tender are enabled by law. We have a lot of private money today, but yeah, but legal tender is in its own category that you have to also understand. So we need to really educate ourselves about these things. I wish I have time to talk about these technicalities, but I'm not sure the time will permit us here. Yeah.
Well, I feel like I'm between the, I don't know, he says I wish I had more time. But then I'm looking at the time and thinking that if I say you have more time, you will not get our standing ovation. So unless I'm a person under authority, unless I am told that we have extra time for this, we just may need to work with the time we have. But thank you for your response. Number 2 and number 3, please, can we take the questions simultaneously? Immediately we take number 2, let's take number 3 and respond to them at once. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. My name is Sally. My question goes to the two of you at a different rate. I might start with you, sir. You made mention of a very good example of a town in Ekiti that infrastructure was lacking, right? So it's fine. Infrastructure is lacking, and essentially that's where Fintech comes in to extend to those places where the banks cannot service, essentially, and this gave rise to where we are today in Fintech. But the challenge now is, I don't know if you can speak to that, is infrastructure is still lacking. The concept of e-Naira, it's still a digital currency, right? And no matter, even if you're not seeing a physical infrastructure, there is a digital infrastructure behind that drives it. So you're talking to the concept of wallets, apps, and the rest. And still, these people in these locations, the digital literacy in Nigeria, number 1, is extremely low. So to use e-Naira, for example, I myself that I'm a bit tech savvy, I'm finding it difficult. Okay, I need to get a wallet an e-Naira wallet before I can use it. I have to sign up, and till today I don't have an e-Naira wallet because of the restriction in the signing up. I had to go and update my BVN that is lacking email or something. My email is not matching. How does that solve the problem of the common man that is a farmer that probably doesn't even have an Android or an iOS phone, is using something that is powered by USSD? His digital literacy is low, and he needs to buy yam from the same person that doesn't understand that. So how does the e-Naira come in to solve that in that regard?
Now, because of time, we may need to just take that one so that we can take the third person.
The short one is a very small, it's a one-line question. Does e-Naira have a public API for fintechs to consume? Because without that, I don't see how the fintechs will benefit from it.
Okay, let's start with Mujib. If you can please take it as brief as possible, please.
Okay. The digital infrastructure is still a problem, right? And that's not going to go away anytime soon. But what is good about where we are with the e-Naira story is that the traditional channels, USSD, and is being extended to the agency network as well. Now, part of the things we've done, right, at Remita is that you can actually get your wallet, right, without too many drama, right? As with any product, you learn as you move. But as our regulators have decided to follow us in the learning journey, and we fintech players have been in school for the last God knows how many years, so we've figured out how to do these things in terms of create products that goes retail. The app has come a long way. There's been issues with the kind of things you mentioned, but it's not a problem of e-Naira per se, right? It goes back to that infrastructure as well. I remember that the drive behind getting BVN and even getting NIN, right, was fraught with a lot of similar issues trying to sort that out. And this is just bringing that forward for them to be sorted, right? So yeah, in the beginning, we're gonna have these issues, but we've crossed that issue in terms of trying to get wallets and stuff.
Thank you so much, Mujib. We've got about 30 seconds before
in terms of APIs are available, and what we've done at Remita is actually further simplified access to those APIs. You can catch up with me later to get more details on that.
All right.
Okay, so thank you, Mujib, he's the right person to answer the question of API because he is coming from the ecosystem, so he has used the APIs and he can attest to that. So, but I just wanted to say a few things regarding the new drive for financial inclusion. We can see the INERA as actually the effort from the regulator to push the boundaries of the existing cashless initiative beyond where we have new tools to build new possibilities. For example, we talk about offline payments today. I mean, imagine my grandmother in the village can wear a locket. I mean, just a chip in the form of a locket, and she can walk to any kiosk on the street, and based on that locket, and plus that. You know, what the CBN has done is actually to, you know, the architecture of this new payment system that will make this scalability, the kind of foundation that needs to be laid. CBN do not intend to build all the possibility by itself. The CBN only wanted to build the foundation, that new foundation that has the building block that can support this elasticity. That's all the CBN is trying to do, and that's what the CBN has done. And we can talk about that as much as we have time.
Thank you very much. We will talk about it. One more, okay. So although we've run out of time, I have been instructed as a person under authority to take one more question. So please include it in our time. Thank you. Please, let's take our one question. Thank you. So whose question are we taking? Yes, please pass the microphone. So we have extra time. Okay.
All right, thank you. My question is to the CBN. I want to reiterate, and probably by way of a question also, when we talk about the financial inclusion, bringing it down home for, my name is Deborah Oni, the managing partner of Hilton Top Solicitors, and I have a passion for women inclusion in the tech space and the emerging technology and all that. And so I want to know what measures is being taken by the CBN in terms of all these various formulations and policies. It's easy to do that, right? But the implementation, and when I talk about women inclusion, I'm going down to not just the women that are in here, but I mean the women in the rural area. For me, on my formulated thing.
For interrupting. I've been informed that we can take one more. So what if we take that one and then you respond to the both of them together?
I think this
you'd prefer to take this specially.
Is,
okay.
It's a bit critical.
Okay.
So,
please go ahead.
I mean, with all respect to the women, we should talk about that. Okay, so in the whole gamut of financial inclusion drive, we know that there are specific demographics that we're looking at. Women stands out. I mean, to be in the form of shrinkage, even if it is old. So, and you know, for micro loans, micro access to all these things, we can take all these assets, tokenize them, and make them possible. I mean, make it possible for women to have access to credit. And thank God we can have programmable credit today, isn't it? We can have, and the risk is driven low. So that's one area that women are targeted in. I mean, specifically, the National Collateral Registry is one area that we are trying to make sure that even the adornment raiment that the women wear, we can use it as a collateral, and women can continue to have access and be carried along, even in the era. Thank you.
Okay, so one more question. I'm told that we can take one more question from over there. Someone who has been raising a hand for quite some time.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, panelists. My name is Aderonke. I'm from the Nigerian Communications Commission. I'd like to speak to Remita. First and foremost, fantastic. You went to Ekiti. But my question is this: how many people in Ekiti know about e-Naira? I know that the Commission has been working assiduously with the CBN to promote and to ensure financial inclusion is achieved. But the truth be told, the speaker before, the penultimate speaker, did say about awareness. That cannot be undermined. Then the second thing is, with a show of hands around this room, how many people own an e-wallet, e-Naira wallet? We are supposed to be the enlightened ones. How many of us? So I can imagine my grandmom, who is in Ekiti, in that market, how do they know, or how will she know what e-Naira is? I congratulate CBN for their 1-year celebration, our anniversary of the launch of e-Naira, but there's a lot to be done. We need to create awareness. You need to let people know, especially the unbanked, what and why I should pick up e-Naira. Summation is to the gentleman in front that did speak about use of airtime. The NCC and the CBN, amongst other government agencies, have discussed this at various fora and at various levels.
Now, I believe that before the end of next year, a lot more people are going to have e-Naira, because on Remitter, for instance, that's an outlet to use it and get it. If more solutions providers do same, before you know it, things are going to happen. And lastly, if you think about the amount of money we as a nation, right, spend on minting